Hey y'all, I am back. I am Marisha Simone with a sage named Simone. Considering your soul. Considering your soul is just caring for yourself deeply. Caring for like you, the real you. So we're here today. Of course, we're gonna pull some cards. But we're eating breakfast together today because I haven't ate yet. And I wanted to do this before I left the house. So what are we sipping today? We have a rooibos latte. I don't know what it's been about me and rooibos lately. Maybe I've been needing some deep grounding. We're going through a lot of shifts and changes, but very divine. And so maybe that's an ancestral presence. I don't know, but this is what I've been craving. I know you can see something sticking out of it. I went ahead and put the cinnamon stick all the way down in there after I steeped all of the tea, but I wanted to leave that in there. So, that's what we sipping today. And I put rose petals in it. Roses have been popping lately. So it's time for that divine alignment, that divine assignment, and that's what I've been focusing on. Is like all these new things that are coming in. This new chapter, and I'm in it, and I feel fully embodied, and I feel fully present with it. So I think that always lends to like what tea I'm drinking, whatever's going on in my life or whatever I need to embrace. And so that's why I like to talk about tea, herbal remedies, and soul care as one, because I feel like it connects us to a deeper part of ourselves. So a little breakfast burrito. I'm gonna take a bite and then we're gonna get going. Kind of crazy to do that on camera. So what are we starting with? I kind of like the Angels and Ancestors Oracle that I did yesterday. I thought that one was pretty good. I know my signature ones always do, and I probably still will do those today. But I'm gonna do this one. So, if you've seen the last videos, we've been talking a lot about identity, purpose, new season, all those things. Identity keeps coming up. But so my sister sent me these pictures that I took maybe around the pandemic, when we were working from home. And I had my hair wrap on, I had my makeup done. I was kind of in all white, and I had painted my wall these like splatters of this greenish color, and I had my whole desk set up for like work. And so I caught myself trying to do like a tea photo shoot, and it was so cute. I'm gonna put them in here. It was so cute, and I looked at those pictures today, and I'm like, there she was. Like, she was ready to come out. She was ready to be fully embodied and embrace herself. And the pandemic was such a tragic time collectively, but it changed my life. Like, I felt more at peace than I had felt in years. Like, maybe even before I started my corporate job. Because it gave us time to disconnect from the world at large in the way that we were doing things, the way that we were functioning. And you had to spend time alone. You had to spend time in your home. You had to spend time with your family. And you got to, for me, it became I got to do these things. Like, I had the chance to do these things finally, and to slow down and ask myself some real questions. And so there was a transformation that happened within me. Of course, before that started, but I think the pandemic allowed me to really like sit and focus in on it. So I'm really excited. Really excited for that type of energy, because it feels like that type of energy is back. And even when you look at, I'm not excited about like the side effects of that type of energy, because what happens is, that I feel like is happening again now, is there's this collective worldly pattern of defeat, like demise, and just so much heaviness and responsibility being asked of us to help. And there's this big spiritual shift happening, and I think we see it physically with everything, all of these different wars, all of the threat to democracy, this need to lean internal to your communities, and just a lot of things like that. And I feel like it was similar during the pandemic, where nobody knew what was up and what was down, and what was going to happen, and how this was going to turn out, and what in the world was going on. Like, we were almost living in an alternate reality, and I feel like we are again. But what happens there is it gives us an opportunity to pause from looking at the systems and the things that we have been leaning on, been depending on, and asking. It allows us to ask what is inside of us. And when you look at what's inside of you, your ancestors are reborn. Like, you bring your ancestors back into your life. I know there's ancestral veneration, but this to me is something even before then, because you open the door to learning about what's more aligned with who you are and the culture that you live in, and your ancestral traditions. And same thing happens with ancestral veneration. It is a form of ancestral veneration, if you ask me. But you bring your ancestors back alive. And when you bring your ancestors back alive, your life changes. Mine did. And it's so weird because my family has always talked about our ancestors. We've always continued the conversation about the legacy and the people who came before us and their stories, and keep up with that. But no one has, that I know of, has intentionally practiced, like when you study spirituality, what ancestral veneration is. But it's kind of one of those things that happen in plain sight. Sometimes we don't know what we're doing or where it comes from, but it's a tradition we have. And so we honor our ancestors. We talk about them. There's always, like, what I notice is there's always a table with the pictures of the ancestors at weddings, the people who aren't here. And so I'm just, I think some of those things have already been happening. And a lot of times when you shift into a space of you're learning all about spirituality and these new things, you're like, oh, I've got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, I got to do that. And it's not always the case. Sometimes you just got to slow down and go within. Like, I know people say go within all the time, but like, sit with yourself. And so there's something really important about us bringing ourselves to the work that we choose to do. Again, I believe that's how the ancestors are also reborn. That's how they're able to work, is through you. And so when you leave you out of it, it's like they can't work with you. And so then the work becomes helping you to see that you are valuable enough to be in this space, to show up fully in that space. So I think us stepping into our truth and our vulnerability and our callings and our purposes, and just like our true embodiment, is how we venerate our ancestors, is how we keep their stories alive, is how we heal some of the storylines. And so, yeah, I think our identity is important. I think identity is a big deal, because what you identify as, who you identify as, is what helps to empower you to do something, to be something, and yeah. So anyway, what is the message for us today, and actually even going into the week? What should we carry as we go into the week? What's the message? Bruno is out here barking at everybody, and we can't have that. What is the message? We got one card. We got this in reverse. Now this deck, I haven't necessarily read it in reverse consistently, but when it's a reversal, I just kind of think of like the thing that really needs your attention. And then certain decks, I like to look at the descriptive versus prescriptive, which I learned from T from Grandma's Baby Apothecary. And so she says when it's upside down, it's prescriptive. It's like, when I hear prescriptive, I hear the medicine that you need. Descriptive is like where you are, what's happening, different things like that. So this one needs our focus, because it fell out in reverse, and it's called Shapeshifter, and transform and unveil your gifts. And so again, we're still on the same conversation of like, the gifts, the things, the talents are being born, they're being seen. And so you see on him, he has a wolf, he has an eagle, he has a man, he has another animal that I can't make out, but he's there's a snake also, like kind of floating around behind him, but it's kind of transparent. But the point is, he has all of these different pieces, and it's almost like they're covering him, they're embodying him, they're helping to form, to shape him. And so it makes me think of the identity piece. There's so many pieces of you that's needed in this moment for you to, and that's a gift. You have so many pieces of you, that's a gift. And so let's read about it. Shapeshifter. Take your time and focus on developing your gifts and strengths. In shamanic traditions, a shapeshifter is either an animal that has the capacity to change between species, or a shaman who has the capacity to transform into an animal to go journeying. Ooh, that was hot. If there is a wild animal you are particularly drawn to or fascinated by, it's probably because you can transform into one in your meditation. Or I'm laughing for a reason, because y'all know I be talking about the hawk every day. And this morning I was in the shower and I was thinking about the hawk again. I'm like, I should tell people more about this. Like, they're gonna think I'm crazy, but I'm like, this hawk is like really a part of my life. That's my spirit animal that's always coming out and always, you know, telling me things. And especially in a season of like where I'm called to live a different life, to like walk more aligned with my purpose and my true identity, or what I identify myself as, or the spaces I identify myself in. So anyway, keep reading. When you shift into animal form, you can see the world through different eyes and tap into the animal survival skills to help yourself through a particular situation. You may have been through many challenges and lows, but now you are in a space of transformation. You are moving beyond your past challenges and honing your current strengths. There are opportunities for you to discover and rediscover the gifts and talents that you were born with and born to share. All of your past experiences have only helped you see how strong you really are. You are an amazing soul who can change and transform in ways that people least expect. You have many talents that you will share in your lifetime. You are guided to stay focused on the light, knowing that it will guide you forward. When this card arrives, there's an opportunity for you to tap into the power of your spirit animal. Note if you're seeing a particular animal regularly, because its medicine is coming to you. Literally was in the shower this morning talking about the hawk being my spirit animal. And so I was like, oh, I should have a conversation asking people like what they think their spirit animal is. Like, what animals do you see all the time? And what's happening when you see them. And literally, y'all, I'm not even joking. This was a conversation I had in the shower with myself. So I was like, okay, I need to note that down because that's a video I want to do. And here we are. Again, I don't have to do it. It's already doing it. It's already doing it because that's how spirit moves. And so, yeah, there is something about, oh, are we really going to do this? An animal you connect to. And it guides. What happened was when I start seeing the same animals over and over again, I have this book. It's not over here, but it's called Animals Speak. And for some reason, I've just always loved the synchronicity or the information that you can learn about animals and how like it relates to us. And so I love symbols and signs. I've always loved symbols and signs. And especially after one of my mom's friends taught me the word synchronicity. And so every time I seen something that was like a sign or a repeated pattern, I'm like, oh, synchronicity. I even got it tattooed on my leg. And then I had like a rose petal on a teacup and then synchronicity around it. So like I manifested this life for real, unintentionally. But it was really just, sometimes your spirit is always calling to you. And so you got little things randomly that you're interested in, but it's really guiding you back to yourself. And you know, like you don't think much of it. Even with tea, I didn't think much of it. And it guided me back to myself. So your next card was Mother Medicine. So this one also came in reversed. I don't know why the energy, I feel like because these things are coming in reverse because there's a resistance happening. Yep, and this medicine mother says, honor your inner knowing. There's a resistance happening. There's a gaslighting of self that we keep doing. Where's my other dog? Oh, she right here. There's a gaslighting of self that we keep doing. And I think that's the thing that slows us down. I think that's the thing that helps us or makes us feel disconnected from our body. But when we can release that resistance to what we keep seeing, and what keeps happening in our lives, then we can finally show up fully. I'm trying to find Medicine Mother. Here she is. Take action. Do what you know you need to do. Mother always knows best, they say, and it's true. We all know a maternal figure who's extremely intuitive, insightful, and the Medicine Mother has gone through many ups and downs. She has lived and she has lost. She knows what it's like to suffer and to want to give up. So the medicine of this card is that it's okay to make mistakes and get it wrong sometimes. It's okay for things to come to an end. It's not the end of a world. It's just the end of one chapter and the beginning of something new. You will have lows, even though, the medicine mother reminds you that even though you will have low lows, you aren't here to suffer. You're here to be supported and support others. Let her give you the loving encouragement to take the next step forward. There's an old pattern rising up in you now, and it's time to deal with it and release it for good. You're being encouraged to love and respect yourself enough to take the steps you know you need to move closer to where you'd like to be. You already know the answers. You know what you need to do. You may have been using delaying tactics or holding back, but now you are being guided to take action. Action requires courage, but your angels and guides are bringing you the courage to move forward. Take just one step. When you do, the next one will be presented to you. Also, another pattern of conversation that I've been seeing is we don't know the next steps. Like, we try to plan them out, and it's cool to do that, but you might know the next right thing to do, and that is the thing that you do. You may not know the full elaborate plan, and that's what I mean when I say we don't know all the steps. You may know the next step, and that is your responsibility to take. That's your responsibility to move forward on your path, is to follow that next step. When I quit my job, I did not know what was coming next. I didn't have another job. I wasn't looking for another job in the same sense. I didn't even know what a job would look like after leaving that job, but I knew in my spirit it was time to go, and I knew that it was something with community. It was something with these gifts, the spiritual herbalism, plants. It was healing. Like, I knew I was moving into that space. I didn't know what it would look like. I didn't know how it would happen, but I knew I had to take the step for the door to even be open. And so I had to leave the place that was draining all of my energy, draining all of my time, keeping me from what God was calling me to do. And even now, I'm not 100% sure what that is, but like, I show up for the next step, the next moment, and I make space. What does my mom always say? Leave space for God, leave space for spirit, leave space for something bigger than you, to shift where you are, to surprise you, to invent a new like path for you. So I'm gonna pull from the Grandma Baby deck before I'm done. And so I think that's part of the message this week, is to leave space for God. And pay attention to the animals this week. I'm gonna say that. The fact that one came in and it was specific about like, what's your spirit animal? Like, have you seen any repeated animals? Pay attention to that this week, and then research the animal. That's what I was talking about, the Animal Speak book. I don't think I finished that sentence, but I started looking up the animal. I kept seeing the hawk, so I started looking it up. And it was about divine change. It was about kind of calling energy, walking into your purpose, this big awakening where you didn't need all these other distractions. They talked about like the birds that kind of fly around at the hawk and annoy it, and it just ignores it. And so I thought about like the anxieties of the change, the doubt, the fears, and all these things that try to kind of come in. And the hawk just like stands its ground. It stays where it is. It knows its purpose. It keeps its eyes on the prize. And it stays focused on the vision. It's about being a visionary. It's about seeing things from a bigger picture. And so like, I learned all of this through researching the hawk. And the internet is cool and all, but if you can get your hands on a book that talks about it, that brings in like the indigenous knowledge and wisdom of these animals and these plants, it's a whole nother experience. And so anytime I see an animal repeatedly, I look it up. Dogs, I kept seeing a lot of like dead dogs on the side of the road, and I'm like, what is going on with these dogs? Wolves, I was seeing these black wolves repeatedly in numbers of 3s, you know. So like, and deer, I remember when that was a thing, but the hawk is one that comes like, that's kind of like hovering over it all for me. So I know that's a spirit animal of mine. And these other ones come in as messages, and so like, it's okay to look into the message. You'll be so amazed at how much it aligns with what's happening in your life, or what you're going through, or what you feel. And so really, it's like teaching yourself to rely, again, like they were saying, honor your inner knowing, to this connection to life, to nature. So our cards from Grandma Baby, we got Moon, Key, and what's this one? Tower. I think Tower goes in the middle. So the moon is all about the dream, the ancestral dream, your dreams, the life you desire to have, the things you imagine, that may not be fully here yet, but you can feel them. You know, like they're kind of in that darker space of like, it hasn't been revealed. When I say dark, I mean mysterious. I mean unknown. It hasn't been revealed, but there's a dream there, there's a vision, and there's a goal. And, you know, you may actually be living in answered prayers, living in this dream, especially the beginning stages of the dream that you didn't even know existed. And you may not even realize you're in that space. And that's why at first I was like, you know, it hasn't happened yet, but I think you are in this space. This came out right side up. And so I think you're in a space that has been prayed for. If it wasn't you who prayed for it, it was somebody in the generation before you who prayed for it. And you are just now beginning to, if you look around, feel embodied in that space. And so then you've got the tower that talks about using your tools. Look around. What are your tools? What are your resources? You know, and I think that is part of the dream, is being able to come together with our resources, to collect our resources, to move forward in life. And so then your next card, because I didn't put them on the table, is the key. And the key is about you. It is about the voice that you have, the specific gifts that you have, the thing in you that needs to be sung out loud, that everybody needs to hear and experience. Those are the dreams you're living in. And so those are your tools. Your tools is your voice. And I feel like we talked about this recently. Your gifts are going to be in the things that you say, the things that you share, how you show up for other people in that space has a lot to do with your voice, has a lot to do with what's inside of you trying to get out. You know, when people sing, they're releasing something, and there's something that wants to be like brought up in you and released. It's like built up and it's coming out. And the fact that you get to use that is the dream. Like, that is what they prayed for. That is what you've been praying for. And that is where you are now. But the thing you have to remember is to use your tools, to trust that intuition. Being intuitive, being deeply intuitive is a gift. And so trusting that is something that you have to do. That's your resource. And so why would you leave your tools, your resources, the things that help you to the side when they can inform your decisions? It can inform your next step. It can be the teacher in how you create this new life and this new experience. And I'm really excited about this because this is exciting energy. Bruno's like, can I come in? Come on. He said, I'm done barking at people. All right. So, again, because we had key yesterday. And so I think this is definitely a consistent message here that's going to be important, is utilizing your tools and seeing the tools that are within you, seeing the tools that are in the way, your voice and the way you speak and the way you communicate. So let's see if we have one more card before I close it out. House. This is your key to rebuild. This is your medicine. This is your prescription, is to rebuild what you thought was true, what you thought was home, what you thought was stable. You're rebuilding a new stable place. Excuse me. And it's coming through your voice. It's coming through how you speak, how you show up in a space. It's going to create new opportunities for you to rebuild. I said one more, but I'm being greedy. You got to be intentional about what comes out of that space. And you're also soul family. You're coming into your soul family. And that's going to be what's going to shift the experience for you, is the people that you surround yourself with, the people that you choose to be in community with. So be intentional about who you choose to bring with you on this journey, to bring to your table, to be at their tables. If the tables don't feel good for you anymore, you got to get up. If they don't feel like home, they don't feel safe, you got to get up. I think gone are the days where we're sitting at tables that don't honor who we are, that don't honor what we honor in ourselves. And so I think that's the part about like this whole journey thing and the healing, is you have to learn to honor yourself enough to, when someone else is dishonoring you, you can get up from that table. And it's a learned practice for sure. But that's our medicine for the week. So let's recap. We've got utilizing our gifts and talents. Those things are coming up. We can no longer resist them. Leaning on your intuition because you know. Getting in touch with your spirit animal. What is the animal that speaks to your spirit? What is the animal that you keep seeing? It's going to be really important with you for understanding where you are now and what you need. And getting up from tables that don't serve us, using our voice, using our stories, our gifts, wherever the gift speaks out for you, like it's expression. So it could be art, it could be dance, it could be something, but utilizing that and allow it to allow the medicine to come through that, to be born through that, and getting up from tables that don't support that don't love you anyway, that don't love you with and still is probably the way I want to say it. Yeah, so it's time to get up from tables that no longer serve us. And look, my hawk friend just flew out. I see you over there. He kind of far, but I'm pretty sure that's a hawk. Anyway, I will see y'all next time. Thank you for sitting here with me. If you haven't done so already, like, share, and subscribe. And meet me back in the soul care corner. Maybe, no, I'm always thinking of new names. I'm like, girl, it already has a name. Consider your soul. That's it. That's all we're asking, is for you to think of yourself. So I'll see y'all next time.